Okay.
Okay, so here we are. I am working on my Halo costuming project. As you can see here on the table, I have several things constructed. I have a grenadier helmet. I have a resined fiberglass piece for the right bicep. This is what I call a successful mistake. I didn't make it big enough, and I made one of the main mistakes I did on it when I started to resin and stuff. I didn't put struts in it. These are very important. This keeps the model straight and true, and you need to leave these on when you first start to put the resin coat on the inside and the outside. And I would actually suggest putting the matting in there too with the fiberglass so that it's stronger before you take these struts out. And I'll be right back in a moment. I'm going to grab a couple items and explain a little bit more about the process.
I'm just gonna follow him.
Oh,
I followed you.
okay, so here we go. Fiberglass matting and tools. So we're going to go back in the room over here. Alright. So here's the deal with this stuff. You have to have this to reinforce it properly, because fiberglass resin by itself is not going to be good enough unless you make it like really thick. The only way you can actually use fiberglass resin by itself without the matting to make a decent structural helmet is by gravity forming. You have to be able to spin a mold, and then what happens is the centrifugal force will, force the resin to form fit your mold, and then you take it out of your mold, and you repeat the process to make it thick enough in order to be strong enough. But since I'm using the three-dimensional paper method, you have to use fiberglass matting, or it's brittle, it cracks, and then your work is, all the work and hard work and stuff you put in, it's gone to crap. So you don't want that. But I messed up on this one. Like I said, I didn't leave the struts in before I fiberglass, and it's worked. It doesn't fit right. Also, I noticed it wasn't quite big enough. This is a 24 centimeter high piece. This, I increased it by 1 centimeter, so this is 25 centimeters high, or 250 millimeters. Now, when you go to get your Epicura program, you're going to want two programs. You're going to want the viewer program, and you're going to want the designer program. What the designer program does for you, you go to the 2D menu and you can resize your items. Now, when you resize your item, when you change scale and then go to scale factor, this is where you plug it in. It's done in millimeters because they updated the program. It was in centimeters, now in millimeters, to give you more control over of what size piece you're making. Now, we're going to back out of there. Now, when you do change that, what happens with this right here, I'm going to increase the size of it and move this over. It's a very flexible program. These pieces will move all around on the board. Okay? Now, I am using letter style size paper. Now, this is what you call cardstock. It's thicker than normal paper. You get 250 sheets of this for about 16 bucks at Staples. I recommend the 250 sheets because you're going to be printing a lot of these. And when you first start off, you're probably going to put 3 or 4 of these together before you really get the hang of it, before your models come out well enough where after you're done constructing it, you're going to want to actually fiberglass it, like this one. This was my first one I constructed as far as armor piece goes. You see, like I said, it's a successful mistake. I got it reinforced and put together, but I made mistakes. I didn't put the struts in. I should have took a little bit more time, lining it up. And that's where I'm going to go with the Epicura viewer. Now, what the Epicura viewer does for you, what the designer doesn't, is that it allows you to separate the pieces. See this right here, you're going to see is all nice and fit together in three-dimensional space. You know, you got the little spaces. When you hit this little cube button, it puts it all together, makes it smooth. Now, what's really good about this is when you hit this button, it kind of takes it apart, like just a millimeter or two, so you can get in here and close and look and see where all the folds and bends and the tabs go. This is going to be very helpful so that when you're putting it together, you know the way, you have a better idea how it goes together, where the folds are, the shape of it, you know, because you're going to definitely need this. Now, this program does not, like I said, this is a viewer program. You can print out with this, but you can't change the size. Alright? Now, here's the other thing you're going to notice. These programs are free. So, if I want to save my changes that I've done to it, I got to buy a password. Password's going to cost you like $40. I mean, you don't really need it. If you write down what your changes are on a piece of paper and keep a file folder, you don't have to worry about it. Then you can go back and you see what size you made it. So, but this is really good, and there's a lot of good models out there. I think this one's made by Nugget. Is the individual who makes this one, or made this specific piece. Let's check. Well, some of these are by Nugget, one's made by Crackhead, but these people put a lot of work in, and they're very well designed. And now we're going to go on like items and stuff. If you already have a printer and a computer, like I said, the programs are free. Cardstock's going to cost you like 16 bucks. You're going to need tools. This is a cordless Dremel. This takes a battery. It charges. Right? This is 20 bucks at Walmart. It's very inexpensive. I'm sure you can find ones that are corded and you don't run out of power, but if you're kind of on a budget, this is awesome. It's 20 bucks. And then I went and I bought extra tools for it. That's another 10 bucks. So you spend 30 bucks altogether, you get a workable tool, you know, and this allows you to clean up your edges and stuff. You'll go in here and you'll find like burrs and laps and stuff like here, and you just go in here with a cutting tool. Go in and do all the shaping and stuff. And clean your edges up. Now, do not use this tool on the paper itself. It does not work. You got to make sure it's fiberglass and resin, because the resin will soak into the helmet. Here's the other thing I suggest when you're resining. We're going to go out to my resining table, and I'm going to show you what I'm up to out there and give you some tips. Okay, this is the resining table. Right now I am putting together one of the form pieces. Now the hole on the wrist size is far too small for it to fit your hand in, you know, so you're going to have to do some customizing for some of your pieces, because you won't just fit through it. You see, I went and did a section of this cut out so I can fit my hand in it. What happens when I go ahead and I mount the armor and everything to the fabric for the costume so I can wear it, this will just velcro over the top of it. And I did this on the inside so it's nice and solid on the outside. So I can just slip my hand in through here and then turn my wrist. And you see, it's nice, it's form-fitting, you know. And here's the other thing. When you're doing form pieces, you want to do it above the wrist bone and just past the elbow a little bit, okay? Now, when you're doing the bicep, because everything is in height. When you scale these, you scale in height from your feet to the top of your head. So it's from this to this very top where the height is. Now on the bicep pieces, the bicep, the very bottom is this part of the bicep right here to the top where the shoulder shield comes up. So you want to measure for about, not right at the joint, but right above it. Well, like a finger, maybe 2 fingers, like, it depends. Like, you know, I'm 5'6", I'm 130 pounds, but the piece I made was perfect in height, but didn't give me enough arm width, so I had to make it just slightly taller. That's where the ability to size it in millimeters is much better. These are the two products you're going to need. Yeah, this is fiberglass resin, and this is acetone. You're going to need a vented area. I got the windows open in here, and masks. You're going to need masks for when you do the sanding, when you do a lot of sanding, especially the Dremel tool, you know, because it's not very good for your lungs. Now, this is what I recommend when you are fiberglassing this product. Don't do more than 2 ounces at a time, because it sets up in 15 minutes. There's no sense. You'll be wasting like blocks. I got little blocks like this big when I first started, and now I don't have that. So, because once this stuff is set up, you know, you can reuse this over and over again, because without the fiberglass matting, like I said, it's brittle. It's set up, bam, I can reuse this container over and over again. Now, what I did is I went and resined the outside and the inside of this before I started using the fiberglass mat. That way it's stiff enough and strong enough, because this stuff heats up when it starts to cure, and it will warp it if you don't do that process first. So resin the outside and the inside of your 3D paper model first, because when you go back, you'll be sanding this. Now, you're also wondering, well, I got these things hanging all off of it. Well, the Dremel tool is going to take a lot of this off, like the little nudges and the sandpaper. Now, sanding blocks will only get you so far, because you got a lot of nooks and crannies. I worked in a body shop when I was in my teens, and we learned a lot of neat tricks for sanding and whatnot. If you wrap sandpaper around like a chopstick or a thing like this, you get in the corners, and you can sand it and get all your edges right after you're done bondoing. When you bondo, you don't put a lot of bondo on this. Very little light amounts of bondo, and you don't put so much hardener in it. Like the resin is hardener, you get 10 drops for every ounce of resin. You know, maybe some, and then again it depends on the brand. This is 3M. So 3M resin, 10 drops for every ounce. I only mix 2 ounces at a time. You know, I got a measuring cup, you know, and it's easy. You can eyeball it. This is 4 ounces, so halfway would be about 2 ounces to where this is. You know, and if you have a bigger item and you have more space to work in, you might be able to do 4 ounces. But like I said, you got 15 minutes before it starts to set up. Now, you're reasoning, well, why does it warp? It warps because of the heat. When it starts to set, it heats up, and that's why it warps. So you want to do sections at a time. Like I did a small bottom section up to the sides around here, and what I'll do is I'll do a little bit more of the sides over here. Like once you resin the fiberglass mat and stick it to the side, it holds itself there pretty good. You know, so, and once it sets up, it's solid. You know, you don't have to worry about breaking. And the thing is once you do have it set up and reinforced, and if you do like crack it or something, it's easier to fix. Okay, acetone. This is a very harsh chemical, but this is what takes care of your cleanup. Stuff is still going to be kind of sticky, but if you want to be able to reuse a brush over, you don't want to spend lots of money on brushes. And I would go with a cheap horsehair brush, because plastic and vinyl does not mesh with this chemical. You have to use latex gloves with this stuff. If you do not use latex gloves, you use vinyl gloves, they're going to disintegrate, and you're going to get your chemical over yourself. Alright, that's it for right now as far as my tutorial and my project goes. I will make more videos and explain better on how to paint your items, because I have auto body experiences, and you want this to look as nice as possible. Some of you want to look a little rougher, more game-like, that's fine, but I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, so I want to go for more detail and better look. So I will give you more tips on the painting and stuff like that, and why wet sanding is so fantastic for smooth surfaces. Alright, that's all for now.
How do I shut it off?